You're listening to Starship May with me, Dave Carmichael, on LCR, Liverpool Community Radio. Hi everyone, good to be back. Welcome to another voyage into progressive rock here on Liverpool Community Radio with Dave Carmichael. Thank you again for all your brilliant feedback. In a bit we'll be visiting a bit of Liverpool rock venues heritage with my guest Craig McIntosh and having a stroll down memory lane and remembering the Liverpool Stadium. Since our last voyage, we sadly lost some of prog rock's what I'd call Premier League players. Dennis Roussos was originally a founder member of a band from Greece called Aphrodite's Child, along with Vangelis. Aside from singing, he also co-wrote their songs and was an accomplished bass player. Edgar Froese was a founding member of the classic German band Tangerine Dream. They were pioneers of synthesizers and electronic composition, played some fantastic gigs in Liverpool, including the Cathedral Tour, where they basically promoted their album Ricochet. One of my favourite prog Premier players, so to speak, is David Allen, founder member of both the Soft Machine and Gong. Both myself and my guest Craig were lucky enough to see Gong last time they played Liverpool. So if you enjoy space rock, complex time signatures, weird concepts and jazz fusion, you should enjoy this. This is a track from their Flying Teapot trilogy, and the album is called You, and this is a track called Master Builder. Hope you enjoy. Hi, I hope you enjoyed that. It's a bit different. Probably the first time Gong has had any airplay this century, I'd imagine. They are a bit of an acquired taste, but anyone who's into prog will appreciate that. A little bit about Gong. Originally formed by David Allen. One of the things with David, he was also a founder member of the Soft Machine with Kevin Ayers, and when promoting the first single on the continent, on trying to get back into the UK, his work permit had gone out of date, so he was sent off packing. So he went back to Paris and got his work permit back, obviously, but in the meantime formed a sort of weird cult band, if you like, called Gong. Over the years, I've had, last count, about 45 members. These have included members like Steve Hillage, Pierre Molin, Bill Bruford, the drummer from Yes and King Crimson, also graced their skins. There's so many, but they are a fantastic band, and I hope you enjoyed that. I'd like now to welcome my guest, Craig McIntosh. Hi, Craig.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on board the ship, so to speak. The stadium obviously has got a lot of fans, and it's got a lot of great memories, and it is part of Liverpool's sort of long-standing heritage musically. Tell us a bit about, what sort of attracted you there, what your first experiences and that was?
Well, a lot of my friends had already been there for various gigs like Black Sabbath and things like that, and I was never allowed out until I was 16. The first gig I went to was Mott the Hoople with Home supporting them. The bass player was Cliff Williams, who went on to AC/DC.
Right.
I remember being really up that day, went with a gang of mates, walking up Bixted Street. You saw the big sign, stadium, and up ahead of you, and it was like tingles and all the rest of it. Got there, can't remember what time it was, but it was quite early, and a queue was already building, about 100 yards long, or metres these days. And it was just like a party, nothing more than that, and everyone enjoying themselves and waiting for the bands the doors to open so we can go and see the bands. But it's something that went on to happen many, many, many more times, because it was just party central in those days.
Do you remember how much your ticket was?
75p, I think. I'd have to check on that, but I think it was 75p.
Yeah, I only went a couple of times. The first time I went, I was about 13, I think, with a mate and his older brother, and they dispersed once I was in it. And that was Judas Priest and Budgie.
Yeah, that's where I met my partner, Hilary.
Oh, right.
That very concert, and the only poster in the new museum is that poster.
Right. Where's this new museum poster
Down
thing?
Pierhead.
Right.
They've got a thing about the stadium there, but it's mainly about the boxing side and wrestling. But they've got the one poster there which made us jump.
Yeah, I took my future wife-to-be on our second date at the stadium to watch the wrestling. Well, romantic, eh?
Well, it was wrestling every week, just with different crowds.
I remember when I was a kid, I did find the queuing a bit intimidating.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, the first time I went, it was like, who are all these people? And fortunately, there were people there I already knew, so they sort of welcomed me in. But the queuing thing got bigger and bigger as time went by. Sometimes it was the only thing that got teenage blokes out of bed at 8 o'clock in the morning to get the bus to Liverpool. But the queues were phenomenal some nights, right the way around.
I know, aside from Prague, there were a lot of fantastic bands that graced the stage, like bands like Queen. And
yeah,
did you ever see them?
I saw Queen there, yeah, with Mott the Hoople.
How much was that ticket?
Oh, £1, I think, something like that.
Wow.
Again, I'd have to check, I can't remember.
A lot of people listening, and we do have, welcome to our listeners in Ireland.
Alan, are you there? And probably Jane as well, I think.
We're not holding hands, by the way, when we're asking you that. We're sort of lighting candles. We're grateful for any listeners over across the water there. In terms of prog bands, one of the bands which did grace the stadium was Green Slade. Did you happen to see them? I
saw Green Slade, yeah, with the bass player Tony Reeves, who also went on to play with Curved Air there. And in the early days of the website, which we run, he actually sent an email in saying how much he enjoyed the website, which Sadly, that's disappeared. But
I know he was actually one of the original members of Colosseum.
Yes.
Along with Dave Greenslade.
Yes, he was.
The thing with Greenslade, which was a bit different, was that they were a band that had 2 keyboard players and no guitarist. Yeah. So that was sort of attracted me. And I remember getting the album Bedside Manners Are Extra, which the title track I'll be playing in a minute.
Yeah, really good album.
Yeah, with the Roger Dean cover, that's what attracted me to it.
Yeah,
you know, so being a big Yes fan, it was sort of like, maybe they're linked in.
Any time they played the stadium, they were supporting for Rory Gallagher, which was really strange.
How much was that ticket?
Oh, God, I can't remember. I remember meeting Rory Gallagher after it, though.
I sound like a right miser. I don't know how much was the tickets. But, you know, a lot of people listening won't know where the stadium was, because it's obviously not there anymore.
Yeah, it's gone. It's an office block now. If people know where the Cross Keys pub is, it used to be right near there. But if you go up Bixted Street, behind Exchange Station, it was right at the top of there, so you could see it from Dale Street. And it was quite an imposing big sign. So you knew where it was then, but sadly, when you woke up there now, it's gone.
Yeah, no, we had, aside from Queen, AC/DC played there, Frank Zappa.
Yeah.
There was, you know, rock gods, so to speak.
Oh, the whole lot of them. Zappa, Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple.
Captain Beefheart.
Captain Beefheart.
Mr. Farragut just said Beefheart. He'll really be pleased with that.
Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play the bespoke track Bedside Manners Are Extra from their album. Hope you enjoy it, everyone. Here we go.
But you know I'm not the kind to be kind, to be cruel. Would you resist a small goodbye, but a kiss wouldn't be cool? Maybe you're too young to be fooled. I know bedside manners were extra at finishing school. Cloud has passed, the last time I loved didn't last. Although it's goodbye, the old school tie came in useful but fast. Your mother and father want to know what we already knew. To me if you have the time. Please
You're listening to Starship Prog with me, Dave Carmichael, on LCR, Liverpool Community Radio. Hi everyone, welcome back to my show. Joined here with Craig. A little bit more about Greenslade. One of the other keyboard players is a chap called Dave Lawson on keyboards. He also played for another one of our favourites, King Crimson. Getting back to the stadium, tell us a little bit about this fan group that you run on the internet.
Well, it started off with a website about 2002, I think I started that. It's Liverpool Stadium, therockyers.com or something like that. You'd have to Google it and look for Liverpool Stadium Rock Years. If you just Google Liverpool Stadium, you get Anfield, which isn't a bad thing. But then someone started a Facebook page, Liverpool Stadium Days, D-A-Z-E, which I became admin with because I was starting to do reunions, and it was an easy way of getting the word out rather than people looking on the website every time they wanted to find out anything. It's grown. There's about 300 members in there now.
Nice.
We have regular meetups. There's one tomorrow night in the Railway off Dale Street, about 7 o'clock if anyone's interested.
Are you all in denim for it?
I am now.
I remember seeing a poster for the reunion for oh god, what was the name of it? The big music festival in America. Woodstock,
yeah.
Woodstock. So I'm getting the CNL, obviously, but there's a reunion poster, and it had loads of people in suits with receding hairlines and that, drinking cocktails in the middle of a field.
No, we've got receding hairlines, all right. Well, the males of us have. But yeah, the reunions have been quite well attended. We've had up to about 38, 40 people there. Some of them haven't been so well attended, but tomorrow night there'll be a handful of us, and that'll be enough.
Yeah, you've also had feedback from some of the old bands, haven't you? On
yeah, Tony Reeves himself. Oh. He sent us an email a while ago. One of the Sutherland brothers sent us some stuff in. Bartley James Harvest, they sent them some stuff. A couple of the old heavy metal kids.
Right.
They were writing to us for a little while. The Sassafras. A couple of film producers, but I can never remember their names.
Right.
Other people may know them, I can't remember.
Yeah, actually, I remember we were having a chat a while back about Barclay James Harvest,
yeah,
who will be featured on a future programme, definitely, along with Jethro Tull, but not today, I'm afraid. But, you know, what you were saying about Barclay James Harvest when you saw them?
Well, they recorded one of their live albums, or part of a live album at the stadium. They were down to record the whole thing, but there was an electrical fault, so it was pulled. The whole gig was pulled for safety reasons. Then they came back a few months later and they recorded, I think it's half of one of their live albums, and I was lucky enough to get in to watch the rehearsal for that, and I can't remember how, where or why, but I remember sitting on my own at the front watching Bartley James Harvest. It was quite a weird experience, but a good one.
Yeah, one of my favourite albums is a Live Tapes album.
Yeah, it might be that one. I can never remember which one it is.
Yeah, there were quite a few concerts recorded. One of the bands we'll be talking about later, Hawkwind, obviously recorded Space Ritual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, best live album ever in my opinion. But
well, it is a classic without any doubt. You know, little question for you, a bit sort of off the beaten track, so to speak. But if you were to actually arrange the perfect stadium gig lineup for a festival, because they used to have the odd day, didn't they, where they'd have about 5 or 6 bands playing?
Oh yeah, they'd have about 6 bands. Well, 4 or 6 bands playing for 44p. Roger Eagle wrote that one about some amazing times. Really, you know, it's what 44p is nothing these days.
So who would you say, for example, you're going to have 5 bands that play there? Who would you have?
If I could pick a modern band, probably Porcupine Tree.
Yeah.
As a prog one. I'm thinking of prog bands rather than just any old rock band. Hawkwind, obviously.
Yeah.
Gong, circa 74 lineup.
Right.
That's with the Hillage and David Allen, Pierre Mullin.
Yeah.
2 more. I'm trying to think.
Maybe the next band I'm going to play might be a contender. A Dutch band.
Focus,
Yeah.
maybe.
Do you like them?
I like Focus, yeah.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know much about Focus, the 2 predominant players were Jan Ackerman on guitar Fantastic guitar player, in my opinion. He actually was Richie Blackmore's favourite guitar player, the most influential, apparently.
No, I never knew that.
Features Van Leer, aside from yodeling, would play keyboards, saxophones and flutes. The track I'm going to play is a track called House of the King, which is originally on, I think it's the 1973 album Focus 3, which was a bit of a weird one because 3 sides of it were solo tracks. So one side had 10 minutes of solo bass playing and then 10 minutes of drumming.
Right,
But
yeah.
on the side which they all play together, they played a track which has been used by a number of programs as theme music. Saxondale, fairly recently. Prior to that, there was also a program which I'll give you the answer to if I remember it after I've played it here, from the 1970s. It was a program which featured Magnus Pike and David Bellamy.
Yes, I remember.
So for some of you may remember this one. Here we go. This is House of the King by Focus. Originally it was on an album called Focus Plays Focus. That was actually released before Focus 3. So a little bit of trivia there, but here we go. Hope you enjoy.
The world is waiting. The revolution will not be televised. It's happening online. LCR, Liverpool Community Radio, www.l-c-r.co.uk.
You're listening to Starship May with me, Dave Carmichael, on LCR, Liverpool Community Radio. Hi everyone, thanks for carrying on listening and keeping the faith for prog. Craig and myself are talking about stadium days, so to speak. In terms of the stadium, what do you remember about the promoters?
The main one, obviously, was Roger Eagle. He brought a lot of new bands from Manchester over. Alberto Los Trios was one I remember. He was the main man. Everybody knew him. Everybody knew what he was doing. And he obviously went on to found Eric's, which is the big punk new wave club in Liverpool in the 76, 77, I think it was. I'll be corrected, I'm sure. But yeah, Roger was the one I remember. There were Alan Cottam, I think, was one. I can't remember the rest.
Yeah, there was a couple of other venues in Liverpool, wasn't there? Moonstone, I vaguely remember.
The Moonstone, yeah. There is a Moonstone page, which I'm also an admin on.
Oh, right.
There was Star and Garter was one. Sportsman. Used to get a lot of bands playing there at lunchtime. Albie Donnelly's Supercharge was one of the main ones. They used to play there quite regularly. Then went onto the stadium and other gigs, and Albie's off in Germany now, still playing.
He looks younger now than he does.
I don't know. Wonder if he's listening. Albie, are you out there?
One of the bands which played at the stadium in the 60s was obviously Soft Machine.
Yeah.
And later on, Kevin Ayres also had a band called Kevin Ayres and the Whole World, which is a bit of a classic lineup, really, when you think about it, because when he actually played the stadium, Mike Oldfield was playing bass for him. I think he was about 17 at the time. He had David Bedford on keyboards. David went on to do sort of orchestral compositions for people like Roy Harper, Mike Oldfield himself, and one of a sort of a really obscure album, but it's a brilliant album if you can get hold of, is Star's End by David Bedford. It's different to anything else you'd probably hear if you've never heard that before. It's sort of orchestral, but headphones and lights off, it's a bit of a weird one. What I want to do is Kevin done an album in 1977 called Yes We Have No Bananas, and a bit of self-indulgence here, so bear with me, but this is one of my favourite ever prog tracks. It's a track called Blue. It's a little bit obscure, but I hope you'll enjoy it.
I've been down for far too long, and this feeling must be wrong, so wrong, so wrong. Sing me future, sing me past, only
Viva la Radio Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. It's happening online. LCR, Liverpool Community Radio. That's www.l-c-r.co.uk.
Tell me that it's evolution. Well, you know.
You're listening to Starship May with me, Dave Carmichael, on LCR, Liverpool Community Radio. Hi everyone, hope you enjoyed that. A bit self-indulgent for myself, I'm afraid. That's what happens when you're captain of Starship Prague and you have the power of the controls. How's that for cheesiness? Jeez. That's probably just lost me all my 2 listeners in Ireland, hasn't it? So, Craig, tell us a little bit about the history of the stadium, what you know of it, because for a lot of people, obviously, it's not there anymore. But it's something which, when people talk about Liverpool music heritage, you know, it's always Beatles and Jerry and the Pacemakers and Mersey Beats and all that. And for a lot of us who, although we like those bands, the stadium and some of the bands which sort of played there were better bands in our opinion, you know?
Well, in our opinion, obviously, yeah. Before I do say anything, say hello to Alan out in South Africa, because I know he's listening. The stadium itself wasn't the original stadium. There was another one that was just off London Road that was knocked down, I think, in the 20s, and then they rebuilt the present building. The building that was there in the 70s was built around 1930, 33, something like that, as a boxing and wrestling stadium.
Was it right that it was the only boxing stadium ever in the world history built? Because I don't think there's ever been a stadium anywhere that I can think of.
I think it might be the only purpose-built one, yeah. But the bands took over. The first band was Satchmo, I think he played there in the 50s or something. Then there was a rock and roll thing with the Beatles played in the 60s. And then it was the late 60s, the prog rock, heavy metal bands all took over, and the stage was the boxing ring. And apart from when Led Zeppelin played there, and they shoved the whole thing to the back of the stadium to make it bigger, and I think there were about 3,500 people there for that gig.
Did you go?
I didn't go. I was never a big Zeppelin fan.
When you think about how many people applied to see them when he's on that tribute concert, was it about 2007, was it? In London?
Yeah, the O2.
2 million people applied for 20,000 tickets.
Yeah, a well-fellow band, but I've got a lot of their music, but I was never a big fan. Certainly wasn't a fan of Robert Plant at the time.
Talking about you being a big fan, I know you're a big Hawkwind fan.
Oh, yeah.
How many times have you seen those?
51.
51 out.
Bit sad, I know.
Now, that is dedication, and that's not someone who hasn't got a life, that's someone who's got good taste.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that before I get something thrown at me. I think the band I've seen most is probably Yes. I've seen them about 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
I would have seen them 51 times if I've had the opportunity, to be fair, because they were just...
Well, they played in 71, I found out today. Someone, I think it was Ian Walker, might have put it up, or might not have been Ian, I can't remember. Put it up on Facebook, the flyer for it.
Yeah.
And it was October 71.
Yeah. Did you ever queue for seeing someone at the stadium and then not get a ticket and not get in?
No.
Wow.
Not that I remember.
No, I had 2 experiences of the Empire with Yes on the Topographic Oceans, missing out on that, having myself and mates queuing up all night, and the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway gig for Genesis.
For that.
Ooh, sacrilegious.
Fight.
Just for that, I'm putting suppers ready on. We'll have 20 minutes of the best fog track ever made.
I don't mind that.
Regarding Hawkwind, obviously, I think that the track I'm going to play from them is a track called Master of the Universe, which was originally recorded in 1971. I know the bass player at the time left them. I think it was Dave Anderson.
Dave, yeah.
And he was replaced by the future Motorhead leader, Lemmy. And they actually recorded what's probably rated as one of the greatest rock live albums of all time by many people at the stadium.
Yeah.
And an album called Space Ritual. which is, I think everyone I knew had a copy of that. They were very much a riff-orientated band with strange sort of light shows. I did see them once, and I always found it, you couldn't really explain how they would grab you, because the naked ladies dancing on the stage, light shows and that, you know.
I think Stacey once referred to that as, how did she put it? A lot of young boys come to watch a naked lady dance and not bother with the music. Something along those lines.
Yeah. Do you ever see the Osmic Tentacles? Because they've always reminded me of Hawkwind. I mean, obviously, Hawkwind was very influential on many bands.
Yeah, I've seen them a couple of times. Not at the stadium, though.
I
think they came a bit later.
The Carlton Academy's had a lot of good bands on. I mean, that's where we both saw Gong.
Yeah.
Actually went to see Asia when they'd done a reformation after about 25 years with their classic lineup with Steve Howe and Carl Palmer and such like in there. In fact, I'm going to play Master Universe. I know it's one of our favourites. It's also the favourite of one of my very best friends, Greg Palmer. Greg and Lou get married next Saturday, and I've got the honour of being their best man. I don't think this is Lou's taste, but it's certainly ours. This is Masters of the Universe. Let's rock.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests on Liverpool Community Radio are not necessarily those of Kensington Vision CIC, the directors, LCR or our funders.
You're listening to Starship May with me, Dave Carmichael, on LCR, Liverpool Community Radio. Hi everyone, welcome back. For those of you who cannot listen to the show live, it will be available via podcast, as are all my shows. In fact, every show that we do here on Liverpool Community Radio, just log on to our website. To listen to Starship Prague, my tile, if you like, is you click on the one that's got the spaceships on, which is probably quite appropriate. Right, I'm here still with my good friend and guest, Craig. In terms of the Stadium Days situation with people having these reunions and that, can you tell us a little bit more about this? And also how people who want to maybe get in touch with you and join up, become part of it, can get involved?
Well, if my email address is on the website, which you can Google Liverpool Stadium Rockies and it will come up pretty handy. Also, there's Liverpool Stadium Days on Facebook, which is a chat forum, so people can find out a lot of information from there about when we do have reunions or whatever. They need to send a request to be added to the site because it's a closed group. But I said there was one tomorrow night, the railway on Dale Street. If anyone wants to come along about 7 o'clock, introduce yourself to us. We're pretty obvious. Everybody's laughing, so we must be pretty obvious. That would be great if you could come along, but there will be more later in the year. We usually do about 3 or 4 a year, so...
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I think there's a lot of people who miss those days, so to speak.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things I found since I've been doing this show is that there's a lot of prog fans out there that say to me, blimey, I haven't heard that song in years and I forgot about them and that. And so, you know, this is a good platform really to sort of tell people about what's going on in Liverpool now. But I'd like to thank Craig for being my guest here, and hopefully we'll do some more shows together.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. A little bit about my own band, The Next, just before we wind up. We're currently in the studio working on our 4th album. I'm going to play out with a track which didn't quite make our 3rd album because it was a concept album. This is a track called Bible with the Barcode. I do go a little bit Steve Village on the guitar, no apologies. Thanks for listening to Starship Prague, and I look forward to seeing you on our next voyage.
Bible, the barcode, images of angels, God and saints, they tell me in Sunday school. Show me a Bible with a barcode, holy warriors fighting sin, bows and arrows and missiles and suicide bombers. The Bible, the barcode, in a war they cannot win, fighting sin and comfort, in a war they cannot win. So me a Bible with a barcode, God's words passed down to man. Heaven's gates are open, God's words we don't understand. It's a Bible with a barcode, in a war they cannot win, holy warriors fighting sin. It's a war they cannot win. saints, they tell me, in Sunday school. The Bible with a barcode, in a war they cannot win. Holy warriors fighting sin, it's a war they cannot win.